motherhood now is being interpreted in so many different ways. Some interpretations don't look very realistic, but I think what's so great about you, Desreen, is you share and you are being your authentic self.
Did you ever worry about what other people would think, that you've given up on ambition because you're going to be at home with
Such a
your
good
boys?
question.
Ambition for me has changed so many times in my journey. Ambition could look like, for example, the decision to stay at home with my kids. That makes me an ambitious mum.
Sometimes something's happening as a child and you can't articulate what the need is or what you desire more of. And then later on in life, you say, do you know what? Actually, I do want more of that in my life.
We knew that we wanted to have children, but of course my husband fell sick just after we got married. So that was a huge hiccup that I wasn't prepared for, because I knew that I wanted to be at home with the children. But then because obviously he fell sick with cancer, he was off work for a very long time. So financially, everything kind of just...
And we do have to fight for the things that fill your cup. And then, we want to make a difference in the world, knowing your capacity in different seasons.
Welcome to the Magnify Conversations. I'm Ruth, the founder of Magnify, a global platform and community focused on equipping ambitious women of faith.
I'm Sinead.
And I'm Julia, and together we are your hosts.
10 seasons in, and the conversations just keep getting better. I'm so glad you're stopping by to tune in.
We will never get over the fact that the Magnify Conversations has reached viewers in more than 50 countries in every continent.
We are so grateful to continuously receive comments and DMs telling us how these stories inspire and challenge you.
It energizes and encourages us to keep doing what we do.
This platform is all about helping you flourish personally and professionally with faith at the center.
Click the subscribe button now if you haven't already. It's quick, it's free, and it means you're always one step closer to a conversation that could change your life. Today on the Magnify Conversations, we're speaking with Desreen Ahanonu about embracing ambition in ways that align with faith, motherhood, and purpose.
Desreen is a wife, mother, and lifestyle content creator. She models how creativity and faith can thrive hand in hand.
From supporting her husband through cancer to navigating motherhood, she made the courageous choice to pause her career and focus on family and content.
Let's dive into this conversation about intentional living, resilience, and redefining what it means to be ambitious. Well, we're so excited to have Desreen today on the Magnify Conversation.
Hello, thanks for having me, ladies.
Thank you for being here. I personally need this conversation, so I'm so happy you're here.
I think our community are going to be so excited, let's not lie, to have you here. And we're talking about something that is so important, which is the decision to be a stay-at-home mum and still call yourself ambitious. I love that title already.
Me too.
And I can't wait to get into this conversation. But before we do, we're not going to just throw you in the deep end, okay?
Oh, good.
We're going to do some icebreakers.
Okay.
Right, so the first one is, for you ladies, when the house is quiet at night, everyone's in bed, the kids are asleep, what is your go-to treat?
Treat. Do you know what? To be fair, we've been quite good recently. We don't have much snacks in our house. But I would say something that is always in the house are ice lollies.
So good.
So I take one or two and enjoy it quietly because no one's coming by me to try and take the ice lolly off me. So I just sneak a nice little cold treat. Yeah, that's my snack.
Julia, what about you?
I have a weird one, but I love, so nice when the house is quiet. I go and get my medjool dates out the fridge. I go and get my pippa nut peanut butter, put it on, it's so sweet. And then I have a glass of milk.
The milk to wash it down.
Wash it down.
I can't believe you drink a glass of milk.
I have a glass
Is it
of
a
milk.
full glass?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, protein, Jersey milk. It's as rich as anything.
Oh my goodness.
And I just love it. That is like heaven.
It's your thing.
So hallelujah.
Wow.
When
Okay,
the babes
here's another
asleep.
one. Sorry, Julia is making me laugh. Who's your ultimate style icon? The one you've secretly copied more than once. That's quite good.
That is quite good.
I think I have so many.
Yeah. Who's yours, Sinead?
I always say in my head, I'm an actress pretending to be a lawyer. And like, you know, actresses, when they're offset, their style is a bit questionable because they don't have a strong... So I always say, like, I'm an actress. But I like you guys are not going to believe me because my wardrobe doesn't reflect this.
I need to hear this now.
But like a pin-up, like Marilyn Monroe.
Really?
Like pin-up, like I love polka dot.
Glam,
love, like my budget won't go there yet, but I would dress up as if I was a Stepford wife all the time. Yeah, I would do 60s glam. That is so like, I love Lana Del Rey, Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
I love that look. I just haven't yet had the budget to take it there.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
my
I don't
hair
know.
reflects it
Look
because I
at
have
you.
big hair.
I love that though.
Yeah, I love a pin-up, like housewife look. I love that look.
Oh, the housewife look. Yeah.
I love it.
What about
Okay.
you, Desreen?
Do you know what? Like you said, I feel like there's a few like idols.
Yeah.
But I feel like my main one is Kelly Rowland.
Gosh, okay, I see
And
that.
can you see the bob?
Yeah,
Can you see the bob?
yeah.
Her hair, her simplicity, her her style is so edgy, yet casual, clean,
Very
neat,
clean.
put together.
Yeah.
I love that kind of style. Yeah.
I see that in you a lot.
Do
yeah,
you?
definitely. That's
Thank
right
you.
on point.
That's a lovely compliment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, this is going to make you laugh. My style icon, who I definitely have copied many a time, is Steph Style Stories. This is my best friend.
Okay.
And I messaged her something about this question. She said, copied more than once. There's sunglasses you copy all the time and everything. But she's my best friend and she is so stylish. She could just put colour and pieces together and I'll like just, copy the sunglasses or copy the dress or whatever. She's really beautiful, and I love copying her, much to her dismay at times.
But that's so nice that you love your friend's style.
Yeah.
That's
Honestly,
sweet.
she had this Instagram account that was Steph Style Stories, and me and one of our other best friend Nats just ripped her for it. But actually, it's the thing. She couldn't actually do it as a living because we all go to her, so it's funny.
That's so good. I love that women inspire other women in other ways. Even though people think it's a competition, it's like, no, you take the essence of what someone's doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's so similar to what we're talking about because motherhood now is being interpreted in so many different ways.
Absolutely.
Some interpretations don't look very realistic, but I think what's so great about you, Desreen, is you share and you are being your authentic self. And I think that's so hard now. It's so hard. And I mean, let's go back a bit just to your early stages and your childhood and your story before you became a mum. Who was Desreen then? What was she dreaming about and wanting to do?
So let's go back. So do you know what? It's so important, and I'm glad that you started there because I always say our upbringing, plays such a huge part of who we become, the person that we become, the parent that we become also. And going back, I'm Caribbean, and my parents were born in Jamaica. I was born here. And I'm one of 8. I have 7 siblings.
Wow.
So our house has always been busy. But I loved
amazing.
it so much. The house was never quiet. We always had someone there. And because there were 8 of us, of course, it meant that my parents had to work a lot. And they worked hard, and I think the focus was just to provide, make sure there was a roof over our head, make sure we had everything that we needed. I will say that we didn't have much time with our parents, one-to-one time. My mum was working as well as looking after the home. My household was very traditional. So my dad was the one that would go out and work really hard, and my mum would look after the home, look after the kids, but she was also working. Looking back now, I always say to my mum, with my 2 children, how did you do it? Because me with my 2, I'm like, some days I'm struggling. And, my hats go off to my mum. So
I'm still like 8.
Yeah, 8. You're still at 8.
But truly.
8,
How did she do it?
You know what? I always ask her that, and she always says she just did it.
Yeah.
She literally just says she just did it. And I think and I always say, when you become a mum, I think you understand that time a little bit more. Because when it's your children, you do anything for them. And I believe it's the way God made us. Like, I honestly, when the days that are tough, the days that I feel tired and, I feel like I can't, there's still strength in me to get on and carry on, and I really believe it's the power of God that gives us the capacity to raise children. So growing up in a big family, I kind of felt like as I was getting older, like my teens, my parents were going back to Jamaica and coming here, going back to Jamaica quite regularly. So my parents weren't always consistently there. I had my older siblings there. We were fine, you know, everything was looked after, but they weren't always there. And I could say I feel like as I got older, I did miss that, you know, having that my parents there consistently. I don't blame them. I'm not angry at them. It was just our situation, and it was just how, you know, we were raised. So I always said to myself, when I have children, you know, I would like to try my best to be there as much as I can, because I do feel like there were some missing parts, some missing times or missing things that, you know, that my parents weren't really there for. Or because we do have a good relationship, but I think when there is that consistent relationship or consistent person, figure or parent there, you build a really strong bond. And I felt like our bond could have been a lot more stronger, a lot more closer. But I think because of time, because of like the traveling back and forth, because their dream was to build a home back home, which they have. And I'm so incredibly happy for them, because they've come here and worked so hard over the years. And, you know, now they've retired back home, you know, they're living the life that they want. And after having 8 children, do you know what?
You deserve it, girl.
You know, you deserve it. They've come here and worked so hard for so long. So, you know, I'm so happy for them. But I do think in retrospect, and also because of their upbringing, I also have to add to that, my dad's upbringing was really tough as well, very strict, you know, not much love, not much affection. And I just feel like experiencing that upbringing, like I said, I wouldn't say I wasn't neglected, I wasn't suffering. There was just not much love, you know. And I don't know if it's a culture thing, but, you know, verbally saying that I love you and verbally sharing your feelings and your emotions and things, we didn't do that much. So I knew that when it was my time to have children, I definitely wanted to be more present than my parents were.
I'm so interested in how sometimes something's happening as a child and you can't articulate what the need is or what you desire more of. And then later on in life, you say, do you know what? Actually, I do want more of that in my life, or I do want... And I think the Bible helps us see that, oh, God is long-suffering and kind. And you're like, oh, yeah, I would like someone to be kind, as, you know. The word helps us to see and articulate these needs. But I'm wondering when it actually occurred to you that, do you know what, I would desire this more in my relationship with my children. When was that? Was it when you got married, or was it when you were actually about to have a child? Because for me, I tend to deal with things as they come. So then I decide, oh no, it's happening. I need to think about what kind of relationship, or was it something that was building in you?
So I feel like, you know, as you get older, even being a woman, the older that you get, you build more friendships. Then you have, like, you know, your bad experiences with friendships. Then you have your relationships, you have bad experience. And I feel like it began in those years when you're navigating heartbreaks, you're navigating friendships, you're navigating life. I feel like it was those years of like college years and university. And like I was saying before, during that age, specifically around college and university, I didn't know what I wanted to do. That for me was really tough. And a lot of people around me knew what they wanted to do in life. They knew that the career that they wanted, they knew the business that they wanted, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And at that time, I did feel if my parents were just a little bit more... more, I'm not even going to say supportive. How can I say
involved in that decision making?
Yes. And also just to touch on, like I think I said earlier about my parents weren't very academic or into education, but I also feel like it was, again, from their upbringing. And I also feel like, you know, the Windrush and, you know, coming here to work also impacted, especially my parents being Caribbean. You know, the focus back then was to come back and work hard. You know, having working skills was a lot more important than education, and not having a parent there, you know, to say, these are your options, Desreen. This is what you're good at. What do you want to do? Not having those conversations as well. I felt like those were the years that I really, really felt that. So at that point in life, I went to uni twice and I didn't finish because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was in those moments I felt like I wish I had more of them. I had them. They're my parents. They love me so much. But I wish that I had more of them now and growing up and having that bond and that relationship and being able to have those conversations, to share those feelings, because at sometimes I felt like I just had to deal with those myself and make decisions myself. What do I want to do, Desreen? I need to try and find what am I good at. And I think as young people, sometimes we can underestimate how valuable that is. And I feel like nowadays in society, everyone wants to do their own thing, but having your parents there, you know, to just offer guidance.
Or to see the traits in you. I mean, I actually love what you said that you didn't know what you want to do, because I have known what I wanted to do probably since I was in the womb, okay?
Really?
Wow.
But it can be a dangerous...
You were a born lawyer.
Entertain, law,
Dance and be a
entertain.
lawyer.
Essentially, Prime Minister, whatever. So, but I love that, because the truth is, I still didn't have a clue. Most people do not have a clue. And that's okay. That's why we have a saviour, a leader, a helper. So I love that answer, because it's honest, and I think it'll connect with a lot of people. And I feel in this new non-traditional, different roles, and I think, Julia, you attested this, because you don't do things in a traditional way all the time, and you changed your life when you got married. I think if people were more, I don't know, and open, when changes happen, that I'm married, I've got a new job, I need to move to Australia, it won't be so difficult to mould and to go where God is taking you. But sometimes when you're like, oh, I know, and I'm going to do this degree, and then it doesn't happen, it's almost like a devastation. And you know, I just wanted to know both of your thoughts as to how that actually helps when you're shaping a family, because you had this desire, I want more of this, but then maybe that openness, I think, attests to how successful you've been in other things in your life, because you've created a lot.
I mean, Desreen, I was so excited for this conversation today, because I very much, like you, didn't know what I wanted to do. We moved from Finland to Costa del Slough to make it sound a bit better. But near the airport, there were loads of missionaries coming via Heathrow to the world. So we were sort of placed there as a family. But so, you know, my first job and my sister's was working for the airlines. And, you know, I think not knowing what you do is so sort of like, you're just so, you think they're so lucky because they know what they want to do, because they could just go for it. But I didn't, and I tried so many different things.
Good.
And I, at 22, went to do a degree and wanted to work then in TV and in sport and PR, and I worked out that actually I didn't like PR, and it was just so helpful to know the things that I didn't like as well as what I do like now. But I did work in TV, and that was definitely a passion. But and I think that guidance piece, like I felt like I slightly had to figure it out on my own, and I was just a smaller family, but. Hold on, let me just think of my train of thought there. But the reason I'm so excited about our conversation is because I was walking into filming and I actually felt so nervous, because I've been just a mum. I hate that, but I got married. I got married, and you know, at 40, moved from London, being this, you know, 100 miles an hour turbo, busy, purpose, passion, work. Probably like 10 jobs at once, and then moved to Jersey, and I gave up my job to invest in my bonus babes, to be able to have a child, and that's been my last sort of 5 years. And I was walking here feeling so shaky, because I thought I haven't really done that much apart from investing in my family, which is everything.
Which is everything. Everything.
Like, so I'm so excited to talk to you, because your ambition has not waned, has it?
Like, and you know, I love like what you've both said. That moment of feeling like you're not sure, it was only the Holy Spirit that kept me on track. Because when, on retrospect, when I look back, things could have gone a completely different way. You know, when you hear people not knowing what they want to do or struggling to find out, they could often go astray because they don't have that guidance. But thank God, You know, I just trusted that things will work out. I don't know how, I don't know what I'm going to do. But as you did, I tried different things. You know, I tried different things to see what I'm passionate about. What do I like to do? And that gave me hope, knowing that he has a plan for me.
Yeah.
My life is just beginning.
Yeah.
I just need to hold on to that and sometimes be patient and just wait either for it to come to me or as I'm moving, it's going to work out.
I would love to know though, because in your 20s, most of us are still, I mean, you're still figuring it out, fair, but you got married early 20s.
Yes.
Earlier than most people. And yeah, it was my dream to marry when I was 23. Probably would have ended the marriage at 23.5, but anyway. So just even that knowing so early on that I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get married, and probably your lifestyle looked very different to your friends around you. And I think that's where the thing starts turning about, am I ambitious because I'm married? Am I ambitious because I have a child? Talk to me about what ambition is to you, and just those thoughts getting married so young.
Yeah, ambition for me has changed so many times in my journey. Ambition could look like, for example, the decision to stay at home with my kids. That makes me an ambitious mum.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, because I'm prioritising them for now. In the future, I know that they're going to benefit from that hugely. But knowing that I still want to do something that I love to do. And I don't know, there's this advice I would always give to mums: you still don't lose yourself.
Yeah.
Don't lose yourself.
How? How?
Do you know what?
Because I think that's what everyone's screaming.
Yes.
How?
Yeah. You know what? I think, first of all, I think it's just amazing seeing mums take control of their home.
Okay.
I think it's amazing seeing, even though sometimes, you know, we walk into it not knowing, like you said, you were so used to working, we're so used to trying to find the next big thing or working hard on this. And I feel like, I have to say it, social media has impacted
Thank you.
people's opinions on things, people's views on things, what ambition an ambitious life is, a good lifestyle is, what success is, what luxury is, you know,
Oh my
the way
goodness.
that social media
Yeah.
paints those things. I feel like that makes it harder for us at home to feel like we're not losing out, we're not missing. And I always said, I'm not letting go of my dreams. I'm not pausing my dreams. I'm stepping into my calling.
Wow.
I am stepping into my calling to be present and to raise my children the way that we want them to. You know, my children is my ministry at home. You know, I need to provide the correct upbringing, discipleship. I need to see it as it's important. I can't just do anyhow. And I really, really value my home and the importance. And I have seen how important it is to be present, to be available, to be emotionally present, to be physically present, to be, you know, for your children. And that's been the focus for me. But for ambition, to remain ambitious is to, and like you the question you asked is, how do you, is to remember who you are in the midst of the busyness.
I wanted to ask that in different though, like remembering who you are.
Yes.
Who is Desreen? And in your relationship with God, who is that? Who are you?
So I think I found myself, because there was a moment I felt like I lost myself during that time of not knowing what I wanted to do. And even when I got married, I was 21. So I still feel like I was in the middle of it. I still wasn't where I wanted to be with my career. I still wasn't doing what I wanted to do. But on being on my knees and really asking the Holy Spirit, what do you want from me? What is, you know, you're calling from me? What do you want from me? And although I didn't see the answer straight away, which is sometimes how we want to see it, we want to hear it straight away, I knew, because I belong to him, all things will work out, and he promises that. He promises that. So then now when I met my husband, and I didn't think I was going to get married so young. And it's so, you know, whenever I think about it, it's strange, because when I grew up, before I found God, I wasn't sure if I wanted to get married. I wasn't really sure if I wanted to get married. Just, I don't know, it wasn't like the huge dream for me. But when I met my husband, of course, that changed. And I knew very early on that I wanted to marry him.
I want to pick up on that decision making. And as a woman, and you know, you mentioned social media, and great tool, powerful tool. However, seeing all these different interpretations of things, it reminds me of this scripture where it says, he who observes the wind and the rain will never sow. And sometimes I think we're spoilt by too many options and just saying, do you know what, I know in my gut, this is what I ought to do now. And I can imagine you've built up this career, you're married, but you're building on, you said you're working on your career. And then at some point in your journey, you decided, I want to turn my attention towards my children, right? To be fair, as soon as I gave birth, I said, I don't want to work anymore, right? But that was just
I think everyone
the
kind of
hormones.
goes through
Yeah,
that.
it was the hormones. And it's a deeper question of where is God's best place for me in my life? You don't have to be a mum or married to ask this question. It's a very important question. God, where is your best place for me? What was happening in your life that you started to ask that question? Because externally, everyone will think, why stop? You're doing great. You know, why are you doing this now? You know?
I think social media again, because it's so loud, you know, like I said, you see people's success. Women are doing incredible things, and I just love it for them. I love it for us. I love that there are incredible people that are making huge differences in the world or starting incredible businesses. So I'm not going to lie, there were times that was really hard to deal with because I knew what I had wanted for my family and my marriage and my future children at that time. I knew what I had wanted. And
what was that? What did you decide?
Was to pause on that.
Yeah, that's good.
Just pause, not stop.
Yeah.
Not to step out, like I said, is to pause and focus on my priority, which is my children. And it was tough. And like I was saying earlier, during that journey, it's even tough. And as women, you know, we have our emotions. There's some days I'm like, yes, God, I'm living my purpose, I'm living my dream, this is what I wanted. And then there are some moments you're just like, is this all that I'm supposed to do? Is this my identity? Who am I? And then you start to see people doing things, you're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I could do
me too. I
could do that. I want to do that. Or I'm so good at that. Or I could have done that if I thought about, you know, that happens all of the time, that happens. But when the Holy Spirit really guides you and confirms in you, this is where you're supposed to be at the moment, and presently this is where you're supposed to be, and I am here with you.
Yeah.
So even when I got married, we knew that we wanted to have children, but of course my husband fell sick just after we got married. So that was a huge hiccup that I wasn't prepared for, because I knew that I wanted to be at home with the children. But then because obviously he fell sick with cancer, he was off work for a very long time. So financially, everything kind of just...
My goodness.
So that is
that was a huge
unexpected
huge
blow. So
huge.
Yeah.
How does that in the timeline? Were you able, talk us through that?
So that timeline,
season?
so we just got married, and obviously the day before we got married, that's when he received the diagnosis that he had cancer.
Wow.
And you know when it's like, is this happening?
Yeah.
Wow.
Is this happening?
Yeah.
And you have your plans, you have your thoughts, you're going to have your family, you're going to, enjoy a couple of years with just the two of you, and then you're going to start a family, and this is your plan, you're going to stay at home with the kids, and then everything just... And, it's those moments that you have to look to God and remind, like I said to you, remind yourself, he loves you.
Right.
I know you're going through this.
Yeah.
His love never fails. His love is unconditional, that even through this, he still loves you, and we are going to get through this.
What does the love of God look like in your life going through that? Because sometimes the picture in front of you is not matching.
Honestly, when I say, and it's even good that you asked that question, because when I say the love of God, it is how can I explain this? Because like you said, looking at the situation, it was tough. Seeing your husband go from, my husband's big, he's 6'4", 6'4", and he's very big built. He went down to like a stick.
I'm like, is this Desreen, the day before your wedding?
The Friday. So we get married on Saturday.
So on
Friday.
That Saturday, were you able to? Were you in shock? Well, you must have been.
Honestly,
but what?
So on the Friday, even when he told me, bless him, he even said to me, Desreen, and I'll never ever forget this.
I know what you're going to say.
He was just like, Desreen, don't marry me.
Oh, I knew you were
Let's cancel the wedding. I don't want to put you through this. How can I put you through this and take you from your mum's house, or take you from your dad? I was in tears. And in that moment, I said, I love you. We're going to get through this together. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this, you know. But it was a shock. But when I say the love of God, I have to speak about this because during the whole period that we went through, that hard time, and it lasted for a couple of years because everything was impacted. Everything, our finances, our home, our relationship, everything was impacted. But when I tell you, even though we were going through a storm, God was telling me that everything is going to be okay. Yeah. So if you spoke to me during that time, you wouldn't hear from me. You wouldn't. How can I say it? When I was crying, I was on my knees praying. Yeah. When I was crying, I was alone crying. I wasn't crying in front of my husband when he was in hospital. I wasn't crying because it's like God had said to me, everything is going to work out, Desreen. Yeah. Everything is going to work out. That's when I really experienced that love from a father. He was there consistently during such a hard period of time. Up to now, when people ask how we got through it, it was only the Holy Spirit. Because during that time when my husband he was in hospital for 2 months, I was at home by myself for 2 months, visiting him every day. It's only God that can get me through that. Yeah. Only him. So then after that, when now it was time to have children and time to make those decisions, what's going to happen in my life? Am I still going to be able to focus on my career or build anything? I didn't worry because I knew. Yeah.
The foundation.
We've been through the valley. Yeah. We have been in this fire. Yeah.
And he's taken us through. He's taken us through. He's taken me through. Right. And even during those moments when I felt like I didn't know what was going on, and previously when I didn't know who I was or what you wanted from me, I was still grounded in him. And each year that went by, and each time when I got back to work, and when we started trying for children, we started thinking, because even at that time when the children came, I said there needs to be something flexible that works for my family. Okay. I need a career that's flexible for my family. I don't know what that's going to be, but my focus is my children. God, yeah. May your will be done, may something work around. But for now, my priorities. Wow. And the way that God brought something into the picture that I never thought I'd be in front of the camera.
Yeah. and Desreen, now,
I never thought I'd be in front of the camera.
Tell us what you are doing now.
So I am, a full-time content creator, sharing, my journey of motherhood and the love that I have for my children and the passion that I have just to share my journey and how amazing it is to have your home as the center of your life, as the focus, but also sharing your passion. I love clothes, I love looking good, I love dressing up, I love putting on makeup. Being able to do that for my career full-time with that flexibility to be at home with my family is just, amazing. I'm so thankful because going from that time of not knowing what to do, but even in the midst of that, still saying, I'm going to prioritise my family. Yeah. Going to prioritise my home.
So you actually knew what you were going to do, that priorities and values-wise, the mechanism.
I didn't know how that was going to happen.
And the tool we did, God, and the how is up to him.
I had no clue how I was going to make something work around my family. Right. I didn't know. And, when you Google things, there's so many other things that there's so many things. You can do this, you can do that. What can I do that I love to do and still be at home? And the way it just worked out, I was just sharing organic content or just fun things that I love to do. And, okay, we'd like to work with you. And then got signed to a management, and then I'm making this much. And then I handed in my notice when I was on maternity leave.
I have to ask something though before we get into you deciding to do this full-time content creation, because what you've just shared and what you've been through in your marriage, there's such a depth to you. And I think people often think when they see the social media and the, great clothes and the hair and, I have a husband, I have this.
And they have family.
No idea what it takes to build so that there's substance behind what you're putting out. Even the fact that you decided it's actually my family life that I'm going to share. And I mean, everything makes sense now just talking to you, but in terms of you having this knowing family, and then family kind of becoming your work in a way, full time. what is that decision make? What's those conversations with God like? Because some people agonize over a post, you know, or what should I post? And you've been through, you decided this is what I'm going to commit my life to. And it just so happens that also your work ties into that.
And I believe it's God's will.
Okay, yeah.
Especially when we go back to my upbringing.
Right.
And what I felt like I didn't have.
Yeah.
And what I felt like I wanted and I needed and I didn't feel like I had. Now to see that God is using, you know, my family. For me, when it comes to serving God, you know, and working and your career, I've always said I want to do something that I am able to serve him through what I do. And you know, like, well, my followers and people who engage with me, they know they'll see every side of me. They will see me looking very cute, put together, but they will see me first.
All. Yeah.
They will see me first thing in the morning. They will see me when I'm sleep deprived, or they'll see when I've had a very tough time, or everything's really stressful at the moment, or I'm navigating this new period, or this toddler tantrum, or this, you know, and just sharing that transparency and my journey to bless others and to share hope to other families who, you know, that no matter how your upbringing was, no matter what you feel like you might have missed, God completes it. When I tell you, if I talk about my family too much, I actually get so emotional because I love them.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It actually, you know, some people are like mums and some people are like a born mummy.
Right.
You are a born mummy. But I can see this oozing out of you. Like you are, I feel like you have, my friend Beth has 5 children and she calls them her little disciples. And I feel like you are, they're not so little anymore, but you're just plowing, you're investing, you're being a woman who you want them to be inspired by and to follow. And you're showing them the way. And what a privilege and an honour. And I'm so happy that you're you're so comfortable in this and that your identity hasn't been lost. And I can see in the few years that I've not been working, that your confidence can kind of go.
Oh, absolutely.
So what would you say to someone within our community who is like, I'm pregnant, I want to be pregnant, or, you know, I don't know if I want to be, I was always like, I'm always going to work. There's no way I'm going to be one of those stay-at-home mums. But what would you say to someone who, like, what are the benefits that you personally find of being a stay-at-home mum?
There are, first of all, I have to say...
An ambitious stay-at-home mum.
Do you know what? It's so funny because initially I was literally full-time stay-at-home mum. So no childcare, no nanny helping or supporting.
Wow.
Because of my social media work part-time, when the boys are like, you know, in childcare, that's when I'm working. And then the rest of the days, I'm full-time mum mode. Like even now, my son is going to start school in September. And this is like the first time he's going to be away from me 5 days a week. Like that just hasn't happened. But what I would say is, you know, our lives are all different.
Yes.
Our circumstances are all different. Completely understand that. But you know what? When God sees in you this desire to be the best for your home, he will equip you with what you need. Even those moments that are tough, he will equip you. But I will say there are moments when I felt in the trenches of motherhood. You know, can I do this? You know, who am I? Am I just a mum? Am I just this? Am I thriving as much as I can in my content creating? Because there's so many times I want to do more. I could do more. Sometimes I feel like I have to pause on ideas because of my children. Sometimes I feel like, sometimes I even feel like, is this where I'm supposed to be? You know, and it's so, you know, I feel like it's the normal, the human in us that we're always thinking about the next thing, or are we supposed to be here? But I think if you are a mother that just wants to be the best for yourself and for your children, make time for yourself and also your children.
And I love that because being the best mum for your children does not mean you are the one that might have to be in the home. Because I'm thinking about a lot of young girls growing up who will watch you and think, well, I'm going to do what Desreen does. Haven't prayed the prayers that she has, haven't been through all the struggles that you have, but just want your life. And actually,
because they see,
because the glamour is,
it looks all good.
Right,
you
girl.
are
She
vulnerable
said,
too.
girl.
But
and you are transparent, but still, people may not be able to. Again, people don't see what it really the cost. And I love that prayer because if you're desiring just to be the best at what God has called you to do, he will start to move the pieces around. So again, when you go through, with women, we go through different hormonal changes. Your emotions might be screaming something to you that you should stop doing this, or you should make more money because then you'd be able to do this. And that's where, like you said, the Holy Spirit comes in to say, actually, what you need is favor, not money.
That's
or
right.
what you need is to talk to your husband nicer, and maybe things will go better for you in this way. And I can just hear this inner depth of you being able to listen and obey, because I hear a lot of obedience in your story. And just that ability to allow God to steer you, since you have already asked him, this is the life that I desire. What is your relationship with God like as a mum, as a busy woman?
We need
because
to talk about
people
this.
ask me, I get this message. I literally just became a mum, so I don't have the answer. And people ask me, how was your intimate time with God changed since, your intimacy? I'm like, God and I, at the moment, we speak in the shower, we just talk like this, because the journaling is not gonna, when I'm trying to breastfeed, you can't be journaling at the same time, right? So
Absolutely.
the reality of it is, how is your relationship with God when you're navigating all these things?
I'm so glad that you asked this question, because I think we definitely need to talk about it a lot more. That transition from, just being you and hubby, or just you alone, to having children is huge. It's not only huge on our body, physically or mentally or emotionally, or time alone. Our relationship with God and the time that we spend with him and the way that we used to completely changes. There are periods when I miss the times that I used to have with God. It might sound so weird,
I hear you.
but I miss it.
I hear
Those
you.
times when I had the strength and the time to spend this much time with him, and really go back to something else because I had the time to, or find a book that's specifically about this because I had the time to read. I can read a whole book and finish it. Those things, for a while for me, everything changed. And there was a period of time, and I feel like there's ins and outs. There are periods when I do feel like, because I don't know, and I always say to God, I love you so much. It's just, and I always say that, God, it's just I'm tired, or it's just but I've come to understand he understands. Of course he understands. He hears us every day where we are. And I had to remind myself, although the time isn't like before, it is still time with him. Even that 1 minute that you made that prayer, or even if you're in the shower, or like for me personally, it's throughout the day.
Just that constant
and that's how it should be. It's not a religion. You don't say to your husband, we'll talk at 6 a.m. and don't talk to me again tomorrow at 6 a.m.
Exactly.
So if you're in a relationship...
I mean, I feel like my conversation with God is just a 24/7. I'm just constantly speaking out loud. But Desreen, did you ever worry about what other people would think, that you've given up on ambition because you're going to be at home with your boys?
Yeah, do you know what? In the beginning, and I think because how social media has changed quite a bit over the years, but when I initially, said, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to start, not many people were doing it. So it was a bit like, are you sure? Is this going to do anything for you? Is this actually going to be a career for you? How are you going to, but at that time, I wasn't worried about it. I just wasn't worried. And it's like you said, if you don't try, how are you supposed to find your purpose? If you don't try and step into those things, how are you supposed to know what is for you? And I just had to go against that and just think, I'm just going to go and see how this goes. Yes, looking at it, it's not like this big opportunity. It's not a new business. It's not a new brand or anything like that. But in this season right now, this is what I'm thinking to go into because it's very flexible for my family. So let's just see how it goes.
And Desreen, how do you balance your family's privacy and this online life that you've amazingly created? Is it a conflict or a balance or
this is a good question. Yeah, this is a good question, especially because of how we know the internet can be. And, I have a lot of conversations with people about it, and I completely understand why parents are keen to make sure that their children, are private, they're protecting their privacy. For me, My stance is, I've always said, I'm a child of God. My children belong to God. And my intention for sharing is for his glory. And at the same time, it has been a blessing for us for this to be my career. I believe in God's protection, divine protection. I believe in his divine guidance, and I believe in his care. So I know that there are a lot of concerns around it, around social media, and, there are bad people out there and people that do things. And I think in general, in the world, in anything, there is good and there is bad. But when your foundation of your home and your family belongs to God, I have that trust and that complete assurance that we're okay and we will be okay. And also because we are serving a purpose as well. I also, with the balance, I feel like I definitely share my life. I share the good and the bad. I have honest conversations, but there are times when I switch off.
Right.
I don't vlog every day. I don't record every day. I don't edit every day. Like I said, my children are in childcare 2 days a week.
And is that when you do?
That's when I work.
Because what I'm thinking is, like, our family, the phones are out too much. It's changed my husband's life to put the phone on the kitchen island. And he'll do his messages there. Whereas if you sit down, then he's like, I'm just going to do my things, and everybody can start putting them on there. Like, do you find yourself checking your phone so much more because that is your life? Or how do you balance that?
So my husband, James, he always said to me, and there was times when my phone was always in my hand. If we're watching a movie, my phone's in my hand. If we're watching something, the laptop's down, I'm editing because the kids are in bed, but it's our time. And he's like, this is our time. This is our time. You shouldn't be on your phone, your laptop. So we had to find a way to make it work. So making sure those working days were the working days, and the days that the kids were at home, there was no editing, there was no shooting, there was no, unless there was like a campaign or something that I had to shoot for a deadline. But those are my working days, and these is my family days, and then the weekend also. So balancing and putting things in place and just making sure that actually it doesn't take over my home. But this is work, I finish work for the day, and you know what I mean? And even when I'm posting, I post, reply to some comments here and there, and then I put my phone down.
I love how you're saying that your husband and I have decided this is what we're going to do. And Julia, you've decided in your household, we're going to do these things this way. And I feel like before I had a child, we were living like teenagers a bit, that, hey,
Girl.
like hit the club, come back home.
Anytime.
Whatever you could do. And now I do sense this thing. And I think for a lot of women, you can sense when the Lord is trying to say, you need to work on, you need to change this. But how intentional or structured do you need to be, do you think, especially as a Christian woman, because you have to be intentional with teaching your kids scripture. That I know. I've seen it in my own life with my parents. But how much structure, especially as you're full-time at home, do you think you've had to bring in? And what's that process been like?
Oh, that is, I can't say enough how important structure is.
Oh, come on. Okay, I've got my answer there.
I can't, it's needed. Absolutely. Even being at home and a stay-at-home mum, there needs to be structure.
Right.
So even from they were little, you'll see now that we have a clear routine, we have a clear structure. They know what we're doing in the morning, they know what time we're going to read, they know what time we're going to pray, we know how we're going to, all of these things needed to be in place. If not, everything would be all over the place. I wouldn't have time for my husband. I wouldn't have time to do the things that I like. I wouldn't have time to go out. There needs to be a place and a time for everything. And that's wisdom that I have to constantly seek from God to, give me the wisdom. How can we navigate this age now, this transition? Because, oh gosh, going from the newborn to the toddlers, then the toddler tantrums, and then going to 3, and then now I've got, my child's going to start school. There's so many different phases that it comes with, and I alone, I don't know. I'm just winging it. This is my first time. This is my first time. So I'm constantly like, Lord, how? So putting that structure in place, even for our home, the bedtimes, and then after bed, our time, and then my time with my husband, and then my own time with God, to meditate, and then to also have time just to do what I like to do. That is also needed. Time for you mums, for us just to be able to do something that we like to do with no one not watching the time or not thinking that I need to do anything for everyone. All of those things completes the circle. And I think if anything is missing, another thing will start to feel it.
Right.
So if I haven't had
Yes.
rest, if I haven't had time for myself, or if I haven't been spending enough time with my husband, quality time with my husband,
Right.
naturally that will impact my family.
Yeah.
It will impact the mood in the house.
Yeah.
And, you know, our role as a wife and a mother is so important. And I always say to God, you know, God, this is a big responsibility.
Yeah.
It's a huge responsibility. You know, you want to make sure that your husband is happy. You want to make sure your children are happy. But you also need to... It's a lot.
Yeah. Because as you're speaking, there's a term that is coming to me that I really would love to get both of you to address, because it's this thing called mum guilt, right? I hadn't even like conceived yet, and people are like, you know, when the mum guilt comes. And me and God, one thing I don't play with is we don't do guilt. Like, I don't think that's from God. And I guess there is, when you have a child, yes, this responsibility comes upon you that I must be with her and I must be there and I must be the first eye she sees in the morning. I used to be like, she has to look at me, she has to see my face. Now, not so much, it's not that deep. But, you know, how do you think Christian women should approach that balance of withdrawing for themselves, because it is a struggle, because God has given you something in your hands to manage, a job, a husband, friendships. He's given us these things to manage, but then how do we honour the things that God has given us and honour him at the same time?
I think remembering that we have to pour into ourselves, and it sounds so, honestly, but the power that we have when we are okay, when we have been poured in to enough, when we've poured in ourselves, when we don't feel like we're running dry or we're empty, we don't know what the time is, we don't know what the day of the week is. If we are okay and we are full, that's when we can pour.
100%.
How can I pour? If I'm dry, how am I going to pour?
How am I going
Even
to
to
overflow into other people's lives.
Right.
I mean, for
know?
Desreen, I just see this like just peace over you. And I just think if decisions and if your decisions can come out of a place of peace and rest, and we're talking about young children here, and peace and rest, you know, sleep, and it has been such a stretching time. I've had my kids nearly, you know, my boy nearly double the age that you did, nearly. And the energy levels, like this, it's such a stretching time. But I feel like I did lose myself when I just gave everything to everyone, and actually just having time to... It sounds so self-care, you know, but it's really a thing.
It really
is.
If
just me coming away to be able to do this and talk to wonderful women, like this is filling my cup like you don't even know.
Absolutely.
And so I just think decisions coming out of a place of peace and rest. And if you can just get time, for me, I need endorphins with exercise. And just a few... I always remember at church, and my husband's always like, the 7 habits of highly effective people, like first things first. He's like, Julia, if you don't exercise first, then it just goes down the pecking order. And then often, you know, you're upset because you haven't exercised, but just doing the first things first. And now exercise is a non-negotiable for me. And, but it's taken till my son's nearly 4 to really fight for that. And we do have to fight for the things that fill your cup. And then, you know, we want to make a difference in the world. We want to, but it's just tough. Having different, knowing your capacity in different seasons.
I think when I struggle, you're going to say it's time, isn't it?
Yes.
It's time, and we don't give ourselves time. We don't even give God time. Oh, God, it didn't work. God's not real, because it took a year.
Because it took 2 years.
And time is needed for God to be able to work in your life. And I think, essentially, the world's message is productivity, do as much as possible, and then you look successful, right? And I've heard that, you know, actually, when you spend time with God, he is perfect. So he perfects your time. And it's hard to believe those things when you're in motherhood, and because you're like, no, I actually need to do this for my child right now. I actually need to do that. But again, back to this question about ambition, what does the success look for you you know, because you're managing your time, you're making these decisions over your children's lives. What does success look like for you? How should Christian women approach that term? Because we're not like the world.
I think for me, success is when I have been able to have time for me, have time for my husband, and have time for my children. Therefore, the consequences of that is that we are all fed, we are all okay, we are all well. That for me is my first success, because and I say that specifically to say there are moments in motherhood when I tell you it was tough, especially when I had 2 under 2.
Right.
Oh my gosh, there were days I felt so stretched.
Yeah.
So stretched. Oh my gosh. And those moments that I didn't find time for myself is when everything went downhill.
Yes.
So when I say that, it's because if you don't find that time for yourself, you will only, it's a domino effect. You won't become productive. You're not happy. There's a mood in the house. Everything is, you start getting angry at God. Everything just starts, you know, your emotions start to, you know. But for me, prioritizing me time is a part of my success, because what makes me feel successful is doing things that make me feel good. That make me feel good. Having time with my family, alone time with my husband. We travel without our children. Having alone time with him, having alone time with our children together, you know, doing what I love to do, having time for that, for my work, and pouring out my creative juices and things that I like to do, you know. Just feeding into every part of me makes me feel successful. And the moment that I feel like I'm not giving to one or the other, I feel a little bit off. I know it's not always going to be a perfect balance. There's some seasons when I've had to focus a little bit more on my children, and I've had to have that conversation with my husband. James, you know the children are small, yeah? You know the children are small. They need mummy a lot more now. They want mummy, you know. And then there were times, actually, you know, I knew that my children, when, you know, 2 under 2, that was really tough. There were moments, I was very stretched. It was very tiring, very, very tiring. Just to go one full day, I was like, at the end of the day, oh, you know? When it's bedtime, and that's just day, I'm on Monday. I'm only on Monday. And then
open that freezer, give me that light.
You know, when am I going to have my eyes for me? And then it's like my husband's going through stuff at work. And then he needs a little bit more loving and, you know, a little bit wifey time. And then, you know, but at the same time, there is never going to be a perfect balance. And I also have to be okay with that. But that's why structure is what I try to do. Routine is what I try to do, and try to make time for those things, even though sometimes the balance will be off. But because they are all important to me, it all works out together. And, you know, God always makes it work out.
If you, like you're saying, but you have this, again, obedience with doing what God is leading you to do. And, you know, what would you say to a woman in our community who is struggling to create that time for herself and really have a relationship with God? Because that's where everything flows from. And,
honestly,
you know, the decision, your life, what you're doing now, flowed from your seeking the Holy Spirit.
And it was literally, and I will have to say again, it was every single hard moment that I went through. It was, and when I tell you, I am very transparent with how I feel, but the depths of my feelings and the things that I was going through, God always heard them. Always. Even when I'm sitting there and I have my doubts or my concerns about, you know, am I doing this right with my son or my children, or this is going on I would prayer. Prayer, people underestimate that. Prayer, you are speaking to a high, I don't think people understand.
Help us to understand.
Whatever you need, whatever you feel like you're missing, whatever you feel like you're lacking, if you're going through a season that you don't know how to come out of this emotion, this consistent feeling that you're feeling, you don't know how to get out of that, or this strength that you feel like you're lacking, or this constant tiredness, or this feeling of regret, or this feeling of feeling down, or not sure what to do, empty that and give it to him.
Yes.
Give it to him. He is your comforter. He has all the answers. He will fulfill everything that you need. It might take some time, but one thing about the Holy Spirit, the moment that you speak, he speaks back to you. He, even though physically you haven't seen the answer, it's as soon as you've opened up your heart and emptied, it's like he receives it, he embraces you, and there's nothing else that can compare. There's nothing else that compares to that. Honestly, those moments, there were times that I've cried, why am I going through this? Especially when my husband was sick. How could this happen? Like, why? What's going on? And it's like, it reminded me, Desreen, I've got you. Your husband is well. He is well. All is well. I have a plan for you.
Yeah.
I have a plan for you. You are my child.
Gosh.
You belong to me. And you know, all those moments that were tough, when he was consistently there, no matter what I go through now, even the little silly things when I feel like I'm not good enough as a mum, I'm not doing good enough for my son, I come to him. God, if there's anything else that I'm lacking, please show me, teach me. I don't know, let it come to my eye. Let me see it somewhere. It's that constant relationship, that constant communication. So I might not have the hour that I used to have to sit down and meditate.
Right.
But I do have that time to speak. And because you're constantly speaking to him, he will speak back to you. It's a constant...
Yep. Awesome.
In the most amazing ways, whether it's a nursing mum who could just,
that's right.
the Bible's too tired, just get the audio book or your Devo, whatever it is, just get it in whatever way you can. And when you're driving and
or your 10-minute walk in the morning, that's what
just
I do. You see my walks?
Just don't unplug from him. Don't let go of him. And
Desreen,
it's so encouraging, Desreen. I'm so blessed for myself, for Judah. I know we've been so blessed to hear not just your story, how you live with Christ as a mum, full-time working still, really.
It's a lot.
I think our community just are going to love this. I'm just so excited. But please let us know what else. We love to support you. That's what community is about. And what have you got coming up? Where can we find you?
So, as we said, we're coming to a new season now. My son is starting school. So my children are getting older. And, there are a few things that I do want to do, and it involves mothers. Of course it involves mothers, because I'm so passionate about it, So there are a few things that are coming, which I'll absolutely share soon. But for now, on my gram, on Instagram and TikTok, I'm there. On YouTube as Desreen, I'm there, Life with Desreen. And I recently changed Life with Desreen because I'm genuinely just sharing my everyday typical person, typical mum, everyday life, and just showing that even with the ups and downs and, in the midst of motherhood, in the midst of being a wife in our busy life, we are complete. Don't let the world tell you that you're not where you're supposed to be yet, or you're not doing good enough, or you haven't achieved this. You are where you're supposed to be. And this is currently my life. This is my season. And at the moment, I'm going to do the best that I can in this season.
And you are.
Thank you.
And you're giving us hope that we can be ambitious.
We can, absolutely.
Amidst the juggle.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. This episode. Thank you both.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for today's incredible episode of the Magnify Conversations. We hope you're feeling inspired and ready to pursue your next steps.
It's amazing to see this series watched globally.
If you have a story to share and would like the chance to feature as a guest, visit magnifycollective.com and fill in our contact form.
And if you're a brand that shares our vision and would like to sponsor another season, whether in the UK or internationally, please email us at info@magnifycollective.com to connect.
Hit subscribe right now so you can be the first to know when an episode drops.
From all of us at Magnify, thank you for watching, and we cannot wait to see you in the next episode.